Saving credit card details for later. Stripe tokens. And by the way, this is the token I guess that they're talking about. Token, Stripe token. Stripe tokens can only be used once, but that doesn't mean you can't save payment information for your users. Stripe provides a customer abstraction that makes it easy to save this information for later. Instead of charging the card immediately, you can create a new customer object and save the card to that customer. This will let you charge the user at any point in the future. You know what I have to say to that? It's all good and dandy that we're gonna store the token in a customer object. But how are we going to save this so that the next time another script loads, we're going to be able to charge the customer? By the way, I just act like that because it helps me. It's called being emphatic. When I'm emphatic, it helps me. It helps me learn things better. Okay, I'm not mad at anybody. I'm just having a conversation with myself. Okay, let's look at the code here. Okay, we already know what that does. And we know what that does. Create a customer. Okay, that's new. So we're using the token to create a customer object. That's nice. And I think what happens when this customer object is created, there's some kind of, Stripe has a web service, okay? There's some kind of communication that happens between the code on my web server and Stripe when the customer is created, okay? So this line here creates a customer. It's a customer object that gets created. And some communication happens between my web application and Stripe. $customer is the handle that I have on that object. Okay, so next, charge the customer instead of the card. The question I have is, will this charge happen immediately? And if so, why are they talking about it here if they're trying to tell us how to charge later on? Okay, I think what they're doing is the code here is for charging immediately. But the reason they're showing it to us here is because this is a different way of charging the customer immediately. The first way was to charge the token instead of the customer. Here they're charging the customer via their customer ID. Okay, and then they're telling us optionally we can save that customer ID in the database, and then later we can get that customer ID back and then charge the customer ID. And the code right here is the same as the code over here, except the difference is here we're charging later and here we're charging now. So in this example, right after we created the customer, we still created a new charge by passing in the customer rather than the card. You can always provide either a card or a customer when creating a new charge. That agrees with what I just said. Congratulations, you've gone through the basics of using Stripe. Some things you might want to see next. Managing your account, sample projects using Stripe, and full API documentation. Now, to understand the API documentation, you have to know about web services and using JSON. Okay, I don't know those, so I'm not going to touch this. This I may want to look at sometime in the future, and this one sometime even further in the future. Now, managing your Stripe account, that's something I would like to look at. Let's see here. Your account, managing your account. This guide will cover some of the basics of setting up and using your account. Okay, I'll read that sometime. The other thing is, let's go to the very beginning over here. Remember, I picked on your website. then I had a choice: charge immediately or sign them up for a subscription. So besides everything I've talked about in the past 6 videos, there's also a way of creating a subscription and creating a subscription plan and being able to charge customers based on a subscription.